Welcome back to our course on calculus differentiation. In this lecture, we are going to see the extended version of mean value theorem for vector valued functions. Let us get into the lecture. The theorem, first of all, let me make some consequence that we can make out of mean value theorem. So, consequence of mean value theorem. I abbreviated mean value theorem as MVT. Okay, there what did we see? We saw that f of p minus f of a is f prime of x times of b minus a for some x in AB. This is the result that we got out of mean value theorem. If you take the absolute value of these things, what are you going to get? You get this to be simply b minus a, because we know that b is bigger than a, and that is why even if you take absolute, you are going to get this one, and this is going to be simply absolute of this thing. This one we shall write it as b minus a times of supremum of a less than x less than b. So this is what we are actually going to get. This is the consequences. This is the consequence that we can make out of the mean value theorem, and based on this consequence only, we are going to prove the case for vector valued function. Let us state the theorem initially. Suppose f is a continuous mapping of AB into Rk, and this function is also differentiable in AB. Then we can find some element between a and b such that absolute of f of b minus f of a is smaller than or equals b minus a times of absolute of f prime of x. So this is what this extended version tells you. How are we going to prove it? And before that, the ideas that we have to remember about these things. Here f is given to be a continuous function of AB into Rk. Therefore, your f is defined from AB to Rk. Therefore, your function f of t, if I take the independent variable to be t, this is f1 of t, f2 of t until fk of t. So this is the case, right? That you have to remember. Here the functions that we have spoken is the functions of single variable, right? Here we are in this theorem, we are dealing with the functions of, actually it's a vector valued function, functions of several variables. Okay, it takes only one variable, but it lands in some vector valued space. Okay, initially having these assumptions, initially let us take z to be f of b minus f of a. It is just a matter of notation, right? And we define phi of t to be z multiplied with f of t. So as I said, your z is what? It is f of b minus f of a. Okay, actually these things are for your understanding, so let me write it in another color. Even if you include these things in your proof, that is not a bother. Okay, so your z is what? F of p minus f of a. These are vector valued, which is to be multiplied with f of t. That is, we'll have to take the inner product, that is dot product. F of b minus f of a would be what? F1 of a minus, f1 of b minus f1 of a, comma, f2 of b minus f2 of a, and it goes till fk of b minus fk of a, and this has to be taken dot product with f1 of t, f2 of t till fk of t. Therefore, when you take the dot product, what would you get? f1 of p minus f1 of a multiplied with f1 of t plus f2 of b minus f2 of a, which is multiplied with f2 of t, and it goes till fk of b minus fk of a, which is multiplied with fk of t. If you closely look at it, f1 of b, f1 of a and f2 of b, all these coordinate functions f1 through fk evaluated at a and b are some real values. So along with f1 of t, f2 of t till fk of t, you have some constants which are multiplied this. Now f1 of t, f2 of t and till fk of t are some real valued functions. Here what you have done is that you have taken a linear combination of some k real valued function. Hence, this is also a real valued function, right? So what we conclude from this is, then your phi is a real valued continuous function on AB, which is differentiable. This is differentiable where? In AB. Then you can make use of mean value theorem. Then by mean value theorem, your phi of b minus phi of a is b minus a times of phi prime of x. Actually, this is a single derivative, okay, for some x in AB, right? And what is phi? Phi is b minus a times of, your phi is what? Z times of f of x whole prime. Z is a constant, so this derivative of x only what? F. So this is what we have. Okay, let us mark this as equation 1. Now let us proceed further. On the other hand, our phi of b minus phi of a is by this thing. Phi is z times of f of x, right? So z times of f of b minus z times of, this is not times, actually dot product, z dot f of a, and using distributivity you can take this to be z dot f of b minus f of a. This is nothing but z, hence z, it is z dot z, and this happens to be absolute of z whole squared, right? Hence by 1 what you get is, if you take this as 2, hence by 1 and 2 we get absolute of z square happens to be b minus a times of absolute of z, this thing. Okay, this one I am writing it as, this b minus a remains as it is, and this one I am writing it as absolute of z times of absolute of x. If it is a single value, we will get equal, but I am writing less than or equals. This is due to Cauchy squares inequality. If you are aware of Cauchy squares inequality, that is well and good. If not, I refer you people to verify what is Cauchy squares inequality, and through that inequality we write this one, right? So finally what we have is that absolute of z square is less than or equals b minus a times of absolute of z times of absolute of f prime of x for some x in AB. If you see, this absolute of z is some real quantity. This absolute of f prime of x is also real quantity, and they are positive, non-negative real quantity. That is important. And this absolute of z is non-zero. Hence, you get absolute of z is smaller than or equals b minus a times of absolute of f prime of x for some x in a. Right? What is absolute of z? That is f of b minus f of a. So you get absolute of f of b minus f of a is smaller than or equals b minus a times of absolute of f prime of x. This is what we needed to prove. This completes the proof. Thank you.